Hello, Poultry Technology. We are with Jan Cortenbach, Chief Technical Manager for Heus India with us. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good
Hello.
afternoon. Hi. He's handling Chief Technical Manager role for Heus Asia. So, sir, can you please give a brief introduction about yourself and your journey?
Well, I graduated in 1988 from Wageningen University, the #1 university in the world. I was lucky living in Holland. In Holland, we have only one agriculture university, that was Wageningen. I already, as a child, would like to work abroad, to live abroad. That was my dream. So I studied agriculture, or to be exactly, animal husbandry, with a focus on non-Western technologies. During my study, I went 1 year to live in Mexico to see if it indeed did like it to live abroad. Well, that was confirmed and I graduated. After that I worked I started as a teacher in an agriculture college in Holland. That was not my dream, but this college had some projects abroad. The first project, I was working for a project in Yemen, an Arab country, to set up a poultry research and disease analysis center. I did that for 9 months, and then they started a project from the same training institute in Indonesia, and they asked me if I wanted to go to Indonesia. Well, it was not a difficult choice, so I went 3.5 years to live and work in Indonesia, mainly poultry. Swine, of course, we don't have in Indonesia as a big Muslim country.
Yes.
I did my job probably good enough, so the same institute asked me if I wanted to do a project in Colombia, other side of the world in South America. So I said again yes, and I went almost 3.5 years to live and work in Colombia. There it was not only poultry, it was a little bit wider. There we had pigs, we had sheep and goat, and even guinea pigs, what they eat in South America, was one part of the training what we did. After Colombia I came back to Holland, and there was a company who was working on a slaughterhouse in Hungary. This slaughterhouse was before that mainly exporting to Russia, and they were paid in Russian rubles. The ruble devaluated, so their ruble what they got was worth nothing. So this slaughterhouse decided to see if they could export to Germany, to England, to Western countries to get an extra value. But the quality was not good enough. The Dutch company was working in the slaughterhouse to improve the quality. Then it worked out that the birds, the broilers mainly, that were delivered were not good enough quality. So I was there for 2 years to improve the quality of broilers on farm level. Management, feeding, climate, and so on, giving training to farmers, to broiler farmers, to improve that. After that, I was asked by the Ministry of Agriculture if I would like to set up a training and demonstration project, because I had some experience in Indonesia and in Hungary and in Colombia with training, to set up a training and demonstration center in pigs and poultry in China. For
That's
5
how
years.
You land up in China.
So I landed up in China at that moment, working under the embassy. The agriculture counselor was my boss, in fact, and we were running a demonstration farm there with Dutch technology. Very high investment, but still profitable. Return on investment was good. So that was what we wanted to show to the Chinese farmers. Even though investment is higher, you still can make money. And we were running that farm, and I was responsible for the farm management in the poultry and in the pigs. After that, I did like to stay in China, and I got approached by Biomin if I would like to set up their company in China. And I started with Biomin China, just with a secretary, with 2 persons in one room, and I built the first factory for Biomin in China, in Shanghai. I set up the deal network, the sales team. And then I met the Heus in 2005 during VIV in China. And the Heus was telling from, we are setting up a joint venture in China. Is that nothing for you, Jan, to run that joint venture or be our responsible person? And of course, Biomin was a very nice company, but working for a Dutch company as a Dutch person is always easier in communication and everything. So I said, yes, I'd like to do that. So from 2005, I'm working in this joint venture with the Heus in China. And we started there with 640,000 tons of feed in 2005. At this moment, we are producing there 10 million tons of feed.
Interesting.
And we are the biggest broiler integrator in China with, I think this year, 1 billion broilers slaughtered. 100% in own hands from our company. So in China, we are really big. I hope I get a little contribution to that success. Not everything is mine. The Chinese did a lot of work, and I'm still there, and I like the company. It is very dynamic, it is growing, and my role in China is mainly the bridge between the Dutch technology and the Chinese, what they want to know. So I know a lot, but I don't know everything. Sometimes for very detailed things, I call in somebody from Holland to talk about pig nutrition or poultry nutrition or ventilation or whatever. I'm not involved in human resource or finance or marketing. I'm purely doing the technical guidance and the technical know-how transfer from Holland to China, but also from China to Holland.
Yes.
A lot of people think we're going to learn these Chinese or something, but the Chinese have a lot of information for us as well, what we can use. I will give you some examples. Raw materials like enzymes, vitamins, amino acid. 90% of the world production takes place in China.
Yes.
And the Chinese company knows who is the good one and who is the bad one. In Holland, we don't know this. So the Chinese company helps us to select the good ones, and we are now buying directly in China together with the Chinese company. Research. In Holland, we are not allowed to have chicken in cages.
Yes.
In China, we do. What is more beautiful than 2 chicken in a cage to do a trial? Otherwise, we have to use groups of 150.
Yes.
And what we do in Holland, we don't do in China. And what we do in China, we don't do in Holland. So we can combine and having more research done. Raw materials. In Asia, you use different raw materials than in Europe. So the different raw materials, what we don't have the know-how in Holland, in China we have, and we can very easily transfer this know-how to our companies in Vietnam or in Indonesia, where they have similar raw materials. In China, it is a dealer market. In Holland, it's 100% direct delivery to customers. How to set up a dealer market? That is know-how what we could use very well in Indonesia or in Vietnam with our companies, with the Chinese know-how. So even though we have a minority share, it is a win-win situation. Yes. We need the Chinese as well, and the Chinese need us for the technical know-how. And that is the success formula, I think, from our cooperation in China where I'm working. Well, I said I studied in Wageningen University. My study took almost 10 years before I graduated. Most people would say, what were you doing in the meantime? Well, I was a top sport in athletics, and that cost also a lot of time. I was traveling over the whole world to race in some competitions, until world championships, to Olympic level, and my specialty was the 50 kilometers race walking. And I
believe you are still holding the record for 50 and 100 kilometers.
Yes, I'm still record holder. I broke the record in 1983 already. I broke it myself several times later, my own record. And the record what I set in 1987, I think, is still standing up to date. They came close, but never could break it. So yeah, but that was also interesting when they interviewed me for my job. They said, you are somebody very dedicated to reach your goal. So that is the people I like. So sometimes your sport can help you to get a job.
It shows your discipline towards the work you do.
Yes, I think so. Yes, I go for something and then I go till I reach my That is, it helps in your work as well. Yeah, I'm very dedicated to reach what I want. Yeah,
that's very interesting. Sir, you have seen industry from the back end also. What are the industry's key challenges facing in formulation and milling?
Well, feed milling in principle it's very simple. Mixing raw materials, grinding it, making a pellet ready. But the details, how long you mix, what temperature you make your pellet, in what order you put it in the mixer, these details, well, there was some things not going perfect in China. How fine you mill things. So that is know-how, what we could do and what we improved. And in China there were 20,000 feed mills, and they were on Monday morning pig feed, on Monday afternoon poultry feed, on Tuesday morning ruminant feed. Not efficient. Nowadays in our Chinese company we have dedicated lines where we only produce feed mill, what is much more efficient, less risk on contamination or wrong formulas because there is still some feed in the production line left. That are things what we not only we, but what in Asia is changing in feed production. It is more mature. We see also farmers, especially in the poultry and nowadays in the pigs as well, with ASF, the better companies now are surviving.
Yeah.
The bad ones and the small ones are absolutely disappearing, because they got ASF, they stock again, and they got again ASF, and then they're out of business because they don't have money. These companies need a good quality feed. They can't make it themselves anymore. So all these feed mills nowadays in Asia, not only in China, but in Vietnam, we see that in the better companies, they go to the professional feed mills instead of making it themselves. And that is what is happening in India, same.
How the conditions are different in India compared to China?
In India, I think the farms are smaller than in China at this moment. Pig farms are huge in China. There are some pig farms that have 70,000 sows on one location. Layer farms of 1 million layers is not an exception. Our biggest customers, 8,000 cows on one location, and there are even farms with 20,000 cows on one location that are not our customers because they are big enough to produce their own feed. But 8,000 cows on one location, how they organize that's amazing. Where do you get your roughage? Where do you go with your manure? This problem does not in India not have, but it will go to bigger companies, more professional companies. Integrations setting up. This is what I have seen in other countries happening, and this will happen in India as well. India is still going on. A lot of backyard farming, very small farms, where there's still a lot to improve. But absolutely, I believe this is coming. With now and 5 years, 10 years, India will develop in that sense.
What are the major farm management challenges in Asian market, and how the disease management is a critical aspect for livestock farming?
The major challenges is disease prevention, hygiene, biosecurity. In Holland, it would be impossible that I go into a farm without taking a shower and changing clothes and disinfecting. Here you walk in actually everywhere without problems.
You can enter farm anytime.
Exactly. So that is one thing what has to improve, especially farmers now are seeing how a virus is easy to transmit from one farm to another. During COVID, we experienced how easy you can infect another person. That has helped actually to develop faster the COVID in that way.
The message was bigger now.
Yes, exactly. So biosecurity, hygiene is one of the issues, and that is also the antibiotic use. When you do biosecurity good, you don't need the antibiotics. Antibiotics is to prevent diseases or to
eliminate the virus.
Eliminate the virus before it attacks the animals. But when you do it good, don't let the virus or the bacteria coming in. That is something what absolutely is going to change. Antibiotics is cheap. That is another challenge in Asia. It is cheaper than biosecurity and a closed housing system and a shower system and all this kind of things. So, yeah, for poor countries, your production cost is going up, your meat price or egg price is going up, your milk price is going up.
Because of the antibiotics you're using.
Yeah, antibiotics is cheap, but when you have to change to an antibiotic-free system, there are some other measures what cost money, and that is the big challenge in some countries. How can you produce still for an acceptable price for the big bulk of consumers?
Interestingly, my another question is, what are your views on the adoption of antibiotic-free organic feed in Asian markets?
Well, antibiotic-free, I think it's a must. We do that to protect human health. That is the main reason. Bacteria are getting resistance. So that there is for me no question if we should do that, yes or no. The only thing is, how can we still produce the same price without antibiotics? And then it's biosecurity, hygiene, feed additives. It is not one thing out, antibiotic in, other thing in. And there are a lot of other factors what can play a role. Interaction with raw materials, two additives what can interact with each other. So it is not easy, and then that is an advantage from a company like the Heus. Holland was one of the first countries where we had antibiotic-free production by law. So we have a lot of experience, did a lot of experiments and trials what could replace antibiotics, how we can produce the same quality without antibiotics, and that is very valuable know-how for countries like China. Since a couple of years we are also not allowed to antibiotics anymore. Vietnam, it will be next year I think also forbidden. So there we are prepared, and that is our big strength of the Heus in different countries. Organic feed, that is another story, or welfare chicken, or how you want to call it. That definitely is more expensive. In Holland, an egg cost 25 cents production cost. In here it is 4 or 5 cents. Yeah, and so that will always be a niche market for the rich people in the big cities. We see in of course in the big cities in Shanghai, for example, you can buy the organic eggs or free-range eggs, but they are expensive. That is for a very small part of the population. In Holland, in Europe, most people are rich enough and we can afford that one. But in a lot of Asian countries, people have little money. They don't look to where it is produced, they look to the price. And that is with organic eggs still a long way to go before that is a normal production system, or organic milk or organic pork, whatever you want. And this will be I think for the next 15 years a niche market.
Especially for a country like India, we have a lesser land mass, so there's another challenge factor that is associated with that.
Yeah. Land use, where do you go with your manure? Especially manure actually was one of the biggest problems with antibiotic in manure, spreading on the land and spreading a disease or getting resistance of bacteria. Yeah, how to do that? That's a big challenge in not only in India, I should say. I think there are more countries who are facing the same problems. Yes.
You have extensive international experience in the feed and livestock industry. So, what key lessons have you learned working in different industries?
I would say animals don't lie. Observe the animals and then you can see where is the problem.
Yeah.
And if you are in South America or in Russia or in Asia or in Africa, when animals are behaving not well, there is a problem. And that is something everywhere in the world. Yeah. Of course, the marketing systems is different. Raw materials are different. But the main thing is look to the animals. There we can learn to improve our management. Observing, look to it, analyze why they behave like that, and then take your measures. That is what I learned from different countries.
That's very interesting. What's next for DHOS in Asia?
One country where we still have not a mill yet is Philippines. I believe within the coming year we are going to more aggressive conquer the market in Philippines, building a feed mill, maintaining our status as an international high quality feed mill, and what I think what the Heus at this moment is doing, focusing on aqua feed. We believe fish is relatively cheap to produce. Fish feed is a little bit more expensive, but with fish you can already reach a feed conversion of 1 or 1.1. And in fish there is hardly done any genetic selection. I believe we can easily go still under 1 with feed conversion in fish. So fish is in terms of feed use very, very efficient. Another thing is, people, more and more younger people, they realize to eat pork or beef with a lot of fat is not healthy. Yes. Fish is, the fat of the fish is healthy because it contains omega-3 and yeah. So also with the mind setting, especially from the younger generation, I think fish has a very bright future. Easy to prepare, in 5 minutes you fry a fish. So I think with this kind of things in the back, the Heus is focusing on aqua feed. In Vietnam we set up the biggest aqua research center from Asia, very big, because we believe there we can make the difference. In Uganda we are building a feed mill now, what will open I think the end of this year. It is pure aqua feed. That is, I believe, the future. In China we don't do fish feed because we are mainly in the north, and in the north
we don't have oceans there.
No, freshwater fish, it's too cold. In winter time, even in the daytime, it can be minus 25. So everything is frozen. So it's very seasonal. There is some fish production, but it starts, let's say now, then till October, and then the season is finished. So in Asia, with our partner in China, we are not focusing on fish feed because we are mainly producing in North China, where fish is, only half year interesting. But in other countries, more in the south, where it is year-round fish production, yes, we are going to focus on aqua feed.
Thank you for your time, sir. It's an interesting and valuable interview for us. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.